Hey, welcome back, everybody. I am back from the Turks and Caicos, and I am ready to rock because, oh my God, what a week. Meghan flew to Geneva to give a speech with the World Health Organization, and it was poorly attended. Gave the speech for about 24 people. Then, of course, it was her wedding anniversary. My God, and she had to use that merch moment. Then, of course, she went and put up a photo of the only celebrity from her wedding who probably still talks to her. I'm getting into it with my amazing guest, Alison Boshoff, editor at large at the Daily Mail. And by the way, for those of you who stick around to the end, yes, Doug is making an appearance because he actually put those Meghan and Harry chew toys through their paces. So let's get her up. Let's get the woman of the hour, Alison Boshoff. Thank you, my darling. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure to be with you always, Paula.
Love having you. Now, we got a lot to get into because this Geneva trip, it was pretty messed up. And let me tell you why. Because she wasn't actually invited by anyone. She went to appear with the WHO, World Health Organization, but the event was WHO and Archewell Philanthropies. We're going to talk about that in a second. So she basically created this event just to show up, give a speech at an art installation, BT Dubs, that was already there. And then the crowd was sparse, to put it mildly. Also, by the way, if you guys are hearing noises, that is my cleaning lady. I'm so sorry. I got to move and I got to clean while I do this. So nobody get after me for this. But here's the deal, Alison. What really chaps me is that, you've got her taking credit for other people's work, because the group that really got the moms together to help in suing Fair Play and doing all of this, or to suing Meta, was Fair Play, which is the group I do work with. And they actually were contacted by Meghan and Harry years ago when they actually had Archewell Foundation, and then ghosted Fair Play and then just takes credit for all their work. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, I think it's really sad, actually, this, because the installation, which is really beautiful, was up in New York, where you are, and then has come to Geneva under the aegis of a different charity, which has been founded by bereaved mums and dads. And so we have no argument with these people, who we respect completely, and they are trying to get across some really important messages. But because it's Meghan, because she is so toxic, then when she has posted this, she's spearheading this. When she's posted it on her Instagram, all she's been able to post is her delivering the speech. And then she doesn't have comments open, and she hasn't even hashtagged the name of the charity. She's issued a call to action. She hasn't said, here's a petition you can sign. Here's a landing page for if you're as a parent worried about online bullying. She hasn't actually attached what she's done, which is supposedly a good work, to anything which actually can do good.
Yes.
So it kind of floats out there like as a sort of, it just appears to be very much a vanity project, because it's not attached to any of the good, solid, charitable work, which actually it should be. So I feel like it's a really badly muffed opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much for just saying that, because when you do things, and by the way, it's not about you, Meghan, right? But she makes it all about herself. And she also does things that she doesn't understand why people think she's a hypocrite, because, days before, she posts this photo of her daughter online. Now, granted, this time she's not even showing a peek of the child's head. However, posting a photo of herself in a closet that has $250,000 worth of clothes in it, and then goes and has the balls with a Z to talk about don't put your children online. And also, by the way, we hate these social media companies except for when I make money from them. You know,
Yeah, I thought I was seeing things when that popped up on Instagram on Saturday night. I thought I must be seeing things because tomorrow she's going to talk about online harms. She can't possibly be posting a kind of get ready with me, aren't I so fabulous kind of little vanity picture the day before she does this, surely. Yeah, but she did.
It was jaw-dropping. But you know what was so crazy? And I found this online. I want us both to watch it because it just kind of made my day a little bit. You know, like there's Catherine in Italy, crowds as far as the eye can see, and in any camera angle. So for those of you out there who don't know this, it's a trick of the old camera. If you want anything to seem sold out, you can. Just get a bunch of people in one tight shot, take the photo, and it looks like you're sold out. You're not. So, but Catherine shows up in Italy and literally crowds swarming. And then somebody did a side-by-side. So one moment, here we go. Whoops. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I mean, I think that says it all, doesn't it?
It is an embarrassingly sparse show. But then, you know what? It wasn't really announced in advance much, was it? You know, and she didn't benefit from the amazing planning and strategic capability of the royal family, which does everything properly. She has one person, one chief of staff, who's not in charge of anybody else because there isn't anybody else. And it's this very kind of, it's become this very hollowed out operation.
Well, so Alison, have you heard anything? Because there's talk online that she basically told Harry, no, stay home. This is my event. I'm going to do this. And what have you heard? Like, why wasn't Harry there?
I wish I had heard something to that effect. It is interesting. I sort of feel like the Australia tour, she, as usual, was the lightning rod for all the criticism. All the criticism of them as a couple seems to always flow through Meghan. Now, is this because we are ghastly racist and sexist? Or I think it's because she's the one who's being sent out to make money. So what we really criticize them for all the time is the merching. And she's the one who has to get out there and merch because he's got nothing to sell. So that's tough, isn't it? Because then she is incessantly in the firing line. So I feel like this was a chance for her to not be the one carrying the can for monetizing the Sussexes for a change.
You know, it's interesting because I did check one off and the outfits are not on there because, you know, she can sell the outfits that she wore to visit massacre victims and cancer children with cancer in Australia. But now she's learned her lesson. You don't sell outfits when you're talking about online children. What the hell is going on? This is like, it is bizarre. But you know what is fascinating, I find, is that she did take a minute to merch her wedding. So as you and I were discussing offline, she, you know, today or yesterday, whatever, one of these days, it's her 8th wedding anniversary to Harry, and she's putting up never before seen photos, and of course, merching it. The hell is going on here? Is Harry even aware she's merching their wedding?
Yeah, this is something else, isn't it? So what I think, we have this game in the UK called Grandmother's Footsteps. Where do you have
what
this?
Is it?
Okay, so it's a party game for kids. So someone turns to the wall, and then when they turn around, everyone has to stop, but everyone creeps towards them. And when they hear a footstep, they turn around, and if they catch you moving, you're out.
Okay.
And this is to me what the Harry and Meghan thing is just like, because it's like he's facing the wall and she's creeping in to merch, and then he's like, oh, no, you didn't catch me at it. Yeah.
That's great. I think it sounds a lot like Simon Says in the States, although I like the wall one better. A little like with Lily's face.
But it's creepy. isn't it? Just creeping and creeping. So this is now merching. So this is new because it's merching an official royal event at which the whole royal family were present. So we are really getting closer to merching her royal status, aren't we? You know, because we kind of tiptoed around it with the kind of semi-heraldic design of As Ever, which is actually a palm tree and a hummingbird. So it's kind of beautifully Californian, but it does look kind of heraldic, like a, you know, so they're sort of playing with it in quite a clever way, weren't they? But this really is, for me, feels like a big step towards.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But you know, it was interesting to me. So she put up a bunch of never before seen photos like this one, where it literally looks like she's eating Harry's face. And I was like, I don't know if you should put this up. It's like squishing him together and eating the side. He actually looks like he's a little bit in pain. God bless him. And then she does this one. She has actually several of herself alone, which I thought was very, very telling. What did you think of this? Because here's what I noticed. She doesn't have any of her mother. She doesn't have any of the famous, we'll get into one, the only famous person she had in a minute, but she doesn't have any of the other people. She doesn't have any of his family, including Charles, who walked her down the aisle. What the hell? So, like, what do you make of it? What do you make of her including several shots of herself alone and none of anyone else except for the famous person we're going to discuss in a second?
So I think her alone, this is, you know, she did want to walk in alone, didn't she, in the end, when her father wasn't coming, and then have Charles. So she enjoyed the optics. This is a woman, it's not even her first wedding. So, and she wanted it to be her big entrance. She, as we'll discuss, she cast it like a show. So the people I want to be my friends. And she presented the optics. Now, listen, every person in the world is the star of their own narrative. Everyone is the hero of their own story. Let's begin with that. And every bride is the biggest cheese at their own wedding. That's fine. We have to accept that. So, but yes, it does sort of bolster those people who criticize Meghan for being vain or narcissistic. It plays right into them by her, you know, because it just reinforces this idea that this is somebody who's in love with themselves and the way they look, and it's all about that person. I think it's odd not to have something of her mother on that happy day. I could think not having the royal family there, that's actually really wise, because that will just lead you into criticism that you don't need. So what she's seeking here is approval and admiration. She's not actually looking for an argument. So, yeah.
It's so fascinating to me. None of her mother and none of any of her. And I love the way that you said she cast her wedding. You know, I've talked to Eliza Licht, a branding expert, and she said, this is just another role she's playing. And it's almost as if she cast herself as a Hollywood A-lister, right? And so she surrounded them. I'm shocked she didn't put any of them in except for this guy, Elton John. And I'm pretty sure that she put him in because he might be the only one from that wedding who still talks to her. And, you know, again, to remind everyone, this is who else was at the wedding. All the famous people. And none of them, we know that David and Victoria can't stand her, won't go anywhere near her, or him, or Harry, because, by the way, the wedding is also Harry. And even though Meghan likes to make it about Meghan, George and Amal told people at the wedding they had never met Meghan and Harry before. Oprah wanted the interview. We all know that. Serena was the longest one who stuck around. And even now she seems to be like, dude, you are way too much drama. I'm out. And here's Emma, the Marchioness of Bath, who's super amazing and cool. And Priyanka Chopra just faded into the background almost immediately. Now, you had a really great article this week about how no one wants to talk to them anymore. What's going on?
I think a lot of the people who were in the circle were also kind of, playing both sides slightly, although at that point it wasn't both sides, but were also friendly with other people in the royal family, like particularly the Beckhams were already friendly with Prince William, and actually were friendly with Prince Andrew and other people. So so when the split happened, they naturally went the other way, and that's the same for Idris Elba, who actually as a young man was helped by was then the Prince's Trust, is now the King's Trust. He's actually helped by the King's Charity. He's tremendously in with the King still, as are the Clooneys. The Clooneys came to Charles's party last week, King Charles's party, to celebrate the charity. So these are people who have a lot of allegiance to Harry's father. So it's not really a surprise that they're not speaking to Harry. I think one exception is James Corden, who was a chat show host over with you. I think he and Harry still speak. I hear that Elton and Harry still speak, but it's a Harry relationship, not a Harry and Meghan relationship.
Right.
Elton, of course, had his own issue with his mother, who he had a deathbed reconciliation with, but didn't speak to for decades. And Elton's very much one for keeping both sides, open and not picking a side. But everyone else has really picked a side. So,
yes. It does seem interesting, though, that the only famous people are friends with Harry and not Meghan. People really seem to just kind of not want to be around that. And I've written about it. It's like people, especially in Hollywood, it's a very facile community. And if you're not seen as on the up, they don't want to be next to you because they don't want the stank on them, right? And it's a little bit of a stank, ain't it? But it does seem that she is trying to pull an Angelina Jolie, here, look, I'm doing good, except for, and I'm not an Angelina Jolie fan by any stretch of the imagination, but Angelina puts in the time, and she also has people around her who coordinate these things. And I just wonder, is there anything that this chick can do at this point? Like, what the hell? I know I've said this 5 times today, but I'm just gobsmacked. I went to last weekend, I was in the Turks and Caicos for, and don't laugh, the opening of a Beaches. And there were a bunch of celebrities there, like Jesse Eisenberg, Chad Michael Murray, Boris Kodjoe. And it was interesting because they all seemed to have their stuff together. By the way, they all had kids, and all of these kids are not in photos. They are away. They keep them private. They focus on their own career. So what do you think is going to happen with this?
It's really hard to know. I think there is a sense of desperation because everything is being tried kind of simultaneously, or at least in a cycle, and it goes very quickly. It goes, right, philanthropy, right, clothes, right, candles, right, and you think, well, no, you need to do one thing and then kind of sit with it, and then if it doesn't really work, then strategize it and work out what might work. And if what might work is going away for 6 months, then do that.
Yeah. And if that means you can't bring in the cash, you might want to downsize. Like we've all done it. I'm downsizing in a week and a half when I move, and I literally will be in a closet scream sobbing, but that's okay. That's all right. They're raising my rent. But it's bastards. I'm like, don't you know it's Mom Donnie's New York? I thought no one wanted to live here. I'm here, but that's okay. We're here. And it's going to be fine. But I do wonder, beyond going away, beyond whatever, it does seem desperate. Like every day there has to be something. And you were saying it before with the Geneva trip. It just seemed to come out of nowhere, as if she was like, well, Catherine's going to Italy. I've got to go do something. Do you think it was in direct response to Catherine's Italy trip?
Well, this is a really interesting question, isn't it? Because that meeting between Harry's publicists and Charles's last summer was, everyone said, oh, it's the beginning of a thaw, and it wasn't really, but it was meant to be, excuse me, some diary sharing. So in a long-term way. So if that's what happened, and everyone concerned has just shut right up about it because they are embarrassed. If that's what happened, then yes, they could conceivably have known far enough in advance that Catherine was going to do that trip to Italy and that Meghan could then slot in afterwards. But I mean, who would want the comparison? That's what makes it not make sense to me, because you wouldn't really want the comparison with a kind of official, properly funded royal trip, which actually has a purpose and several points. And this was really just, I mean, it was almost like a selfie.
It was.
Dr. Tedros. I mean, it was a 10-minute speech, which she delivered very well, but it really was pretty lightweight as an engagement.
It was. And also there were allegations that her speech sounded suspiciously like it was written by AI, which again is also ironic considering she was talking about the dangers of online.
I tell you what drives me mad about their speeches, and when you notice it, you can't unnotice it, is that they have this way they write, which is not only this, but also that.
Well, that's AI, by the way. It's not this, it's that, or not
and
this.
They have said it from the very beginning, you know, for 8 years, every speech, not only this, but also, and you just think, oh, please just say it plainly. Don't reverse it around. Just tell me plainly what you mean. But it's done in this very sort of pompous way. I'm not sure it is AI. I just think it's the way she learned how to rhetoricize at Northwestern.
Well, I give you credit for giving her credit. Because
I'm just a nicer person than you, Paula.
It's true. You're so nice. I love you. But, you know, actually, it's interesting. I know, of course you are. It's interesting you bring up Project Thaw, because I did speak to one of my very good sources. And I said, you know, a lot of people are making it about like, the king talked about anti-Semitism. Then Harry talked about anti-Semitism. And is this part of, you know, everyone's drawing these parallels, which, first of all, I think it's hilarious that Harry even talks about anti-Semitism, considering A, he wore the Nazi suit, B, he and Meghan have aligned themselves with charities that are friendly with Hamas, if you will. And, you know, it's very given money to people who are extremely anti-Semitic. But I've heard from a very good source that no, there is no Project Thaw. And the reason why is that, yes, the king would like to see his son and his grandson. No one ever wants to see Meghan again, but that they understand Harry is fully untrustworthy. And so therefore they can't be around him.
I think that is good information, because I think there are a lot of people who think Harry is very untrustworthy. They may or may not include the king, but there are a lot of voices who don't want to trust Harry under any circumstances, even if it's just him, not Meghan.
Yeah. Well, and also the other thing is how, you know, he keeps threatening to bring Meghan and the kids over. That's great. But nobody wants to be in a room with her ever again. At least not without like videotaped evidence of what the hell happened. But I think the Project Thaw is overstated and coming from Harry's side. I think it's another one of those things where Harry puts his wishes out in the media and hopes it comes true.
Yes, it's like this story we get all the time about, oh, Harry is welcome at Sandringham, or Harry's hoping for an invitation. I think, yeah. But, you know, I think he is coming in July. I hope you're going to come, Paula. Are you going to come?
I am coming. I'm coming at the end for a week at the end of June, early July. So obviously we're going to hang out IRL. I might actually just set up a camera and have you live IRL. But yeah, I'm excited. And Alison,
I think Meghan will be there. So we should go.
No, I don't know if they're coming the first week, are they?
No, it'll be later in July, I think.
To be fair, no, I'm meeting up with some people from Birmingham Invictus and some other people, as well as more royal sources and political sources. So I'll have some good stories after that one, I can assure you. But Alison, I just wanted to say thank you so much. Hang around backstage, and I will just see you again. And by the way, you guys, Alison Boshoff, Richard Eden, and Richard Kay are the only reasons I subscribed to the Daily Mail, period. I mean, they're fabulous and their stuff is really good. All right. So now we're getting to the point that I promised you. I did. I bought those toys, the Harry and Meghan toys, and they arrived. And I took them out of the packaging and voila. Hold on. Gave them to Doug. He went straight for Meghan. And I flipped over Harry so he could see his face. And he was like, yes, all right, maybe I'll try. No, he's chewing on the Megsy. He can't get over. I think at one point he does go over to Harry and bites his head. He's down for it. Let him go, because here's what I think the makers did. This is quite sad, actually. The makers put more squeakers in Meghan. Harry only has one squeak, and it's around the belly area. Meghan, she has 2 squeaks, so it makes Doug really just want to go after all that harder. You know what I mean? Now, the other thing is Doug cannot tear him apart. His jaws aren't that strong. He looks like a big buff dude, but he's not. You know what I mean? Like, let's not tell him anything. He's very Jersey Shore Jim Tan Laundry. A lot of show, not a lot of bark bite. But anyway, guys, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate you. Thank you for joining, and thank you for correcting me. I saw some in the comments. And by the way, one of the funniest comments was that the anniversary, or the day that Meghan and Harry got married, was the date of Anne Boleyn's execution, which I do think is freaking hilarious. And yes, it was not Simon Says. It was red light, green light, go. And, you know, all that other stuff. I always flub it up at least once, but the meat, she is there. All right. Thank you. Now, remember, like, subscribe, set the alerts. So every time, boom, you'll know. You can come join. And I got a lot of seriously fascinating guests coming on. I got Eliza Licht later in the week. Obviously, Tom Sykes is coming back, my brother from another mother, in the lobster pen. Order of the Lobster. I welcome you all. We're not snobs at the Order of the Lobster. All right. Just want to say thanks again, and big smooch.